Hello and welcome to the stream. Just waiting for some people to come into the chat. Um, let's try this again. Yesterday, I tried to stream and there was a bit of an issue, so let's see how this goes today. Please let me know if things are running smoothly. If you can hear me well, just let me know in the chat. And then we will proceed. So drop a comment about the audio, if the audio is okay, and how the stream is functioning, if you can. Um, 1 second. Oh, yes. Okay. So, some reason the comments aren't coming yet. Just give me a minute. Ah, here we go. I can hear you. Sounds fine. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Hi, sounds good so far. Great. Audio sounds good. Okay, so looks like we can proceed then. How's everyone doing today? I hope everyone is well. This is going to be about the NEUROMANCER teaser trailer, which was just released. And there will also be some Dune chat at the end, so stick around for that. But I just wanted to share my thoughts about NEUROMANCER because it's not something I'm particularly aware of. It's one of those IPs or, I mean, books that was written in a special year for me, a very special year, 1984. So that has a significant level of, let's say, nostalgia, and I'm linked to that year. So I'd like to explore that year as much as possible. And I didn't hear about this book at all until I researched it and realized it was released in 1984. So this got me to thinking about how much this may have influenced like popular culture and the cyberpunk genre and things like that, because I see a lot of similarities between Neuromancer and other things which we'll get to now, hopefully. So without further ado, let's just start. And if there are any issues, just let me know throughout the stream. Um, if anything happens, or if there's a drop in quality, just let me know. Okay, so 1 minute. Let me just sort this audio out. Okay, now let's get to this cover, which I remember seeing this art, and I think someone did, the same artist made a Dune inspired image as well. And I remember loving that art, and I even believe I shared it on um, X or Facebook, and I even think Tumblr as well at the time. So yeah, I really enjoyed this image, and I see that the Apple TV show creators have recreated the image, which I think is pretty cool. It's a really nice rendition of the artwork brought to life, which I thought was really cool. Uh, I'm doing well, thank you, Erica. Thank you. Um, Oh yes, I hear a lot of chatter about neuromancers, and it seems that people on this channel are interested in neuromancer too, because I released a poll about it, and people wanted me to cover it. So I thought, why not? You know, I can do it on a stream, and I am very unfamiliar with the neuromancer world, so I thought uh, I would even perhaps read the book one day, or at least watch the series. I'll get your opinions on that soon, hopefully. Um, yes, it does sound intriguing, and I actually have been a fan of this genre since I was young. So, I mean, because I was very much inspired by Ghost in the Shell and things like that. And hopefully, we can cover a bit more about that and its possible links to Neuromancer. I would like to do a lot more research and digging about this. If you know any information about whether or not Neuromancer influenced other pop culture or other cyberpunk movies or TV shows, do let me know, and I'd be very interested um, to take that into consideration. Okay, so this is another poster they released for Neuromancer, and it does look like similar imagery we've seen before in popular culture. You see this as also another poster, which looks like a port inside a man's head. And this looks very much, or it reminds me very much of the Matrix movies. The whole port in the head was something I noticed right off of the bat. And it begs the question, did the Matrix copy, borrow, or was inspired by a book like Neuromancer? Perhaps there's something before Neuromancer um, that inspired the author. Is it William Gibson? I think that's his name. If you know of any information, do let me know. I read Neuromancer recently. What was going on? Well, they're releasing a new TV show um, in 2027, I believe. So I'll be able to cover it perhaps next year as well, and that's something exciting to look forward to. Um, but yes, so what did you think of Neuromancer? Let me know. What did you think of the book? Without spoilers, obviously, because I haven't read it myself. Someone says Black Mirror vibes. Port in the head. Yes, as well, Black Mirror, of course. But then you could argue that Black Mirror was inspired by The Matrix, but then it seems that it goes even further back than that. Obviously, I already knew that The Matrix was heavily inspired by anime. You see some of it in the shots that they were inspired by. So I already knew that there was a potential for The Matrix to have been inspired by Ghost in the Shell. But now my question and my argument is, what was Ghost in the Shell inspired by? Could it have been a book like Neuromancer? That's what I would love to know. I'd love to find out. And I'm sure a little search may uh, yield an interesting answer. So, the port system did remind me of something as well, like Existence, where they would plug like these almost umbilical cord wiring into the body. And it kind of gave me that same kind of vibe. And I'm sure Existence as well was influenced by things like Neuromancer, but who knows? Someone says Neuromancer shaped the whole cyberpunk genre. Yes, that's what I believe. And I never knew that before. And I wish I had known that, because it's something that I would like to know as a person who likes to be aware of these things. So I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't know sooner, because that would have been probably something I would have reached for very early on. Um, it feels like I am getting into Neuromancer late, because I should have really read this book by now. If it's been that influential on the whole genre. So yeah, it's been very interesting seeing people's reactions to this. I bought Neuromancer to read, but haven't started it yet. Is it a tough read? I don't know. That's the thing, and I don't even know how big the book is. But I think I do want to find out, so I may have to have a read of it myself and really get into the nitty gritty of uh, trying to pinpoint how influential this was on the cyberpunk genre and things like The Matrix, etc. But let me move on to this, which is basically, I mean, I saw this film when I was young, and again, groundbreaking, life-changing movie to watch. Incredible visuals. I think I watched it around the same time as Akira. And then this was when I was really getting into anime movies. I never watched TV shows like Dragon Ball Z or anything like that, but I watched the movies, the big, important anime films like Akira and like Ghost in the Shell and things like Vampire Hunter D and things like that. So when I looked at some of the imagery from the trailer, it did remind me of Ghost in the Shell and The Matrix. And specifically, it reminded me of the live action for the Ghost in the Shell movie. Now, I know it's not the most popular of films for various reasons and points, some of them very valid. But what I liked about the film is it's the way it depicted or the way it kind of envisioned the future in a realistic sense, in its visual sense. I liked the visual language they used and the concepts that they used. I thought they did some really interesting work, and I believe Weta Workshop, that the same people who worked on the Lord of the Rings films, they stepped in to create some interesting models and weaponry and things like that, some nice props for the movie. So it's a guilty pleasure. I do like looking at the world, if even though perhaps the writing itself may not be strong. Let's get to some of your comments. Neuromancer was the one. It's the Urtex, essentially. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, okay. I hear you. Yeah, it's hard to follow. Came out in 1984. Yeah, Gibson knew people in tech, so he just borrowed terms. He didn't know what a modem was, yes, but included it as a word because it sounded cool. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. So, does that reflect on his predictions then? Was he able to predict quite accurately in his storytelling, or was it more how should I say, fantastical and less realistic, essentially? I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that. Um, Ghost in the Shell, yeah, I mean it's one of the popular cyberpunk films and TV shows that are out there today, and I think it has some fantastic storytelling. Pretty much all comes to back to Gibson. Yeah, that's really cool. I have to. I really do have to look into this then more because I like giving people their flowers when they deserve it. And if Gibson is the guy that really started it all, essentially, then I would really like to read his work just to kind of, I don't know, just to kind of give him his props, really. But yeah, so what I thought we could do now is look at the TV teaser for the TV show and just look at the imagery in it and see what we think about it um and go from there. But before I do, just some more comments I'd like to go through. I was really late to the fandom, so all thrill of the groundbreaker stuff was lost on me. Right, yeah, I see. Yeah, and that's like something that I mean, I'm worried that I may have missed out in a way, but the thing is, I had my own separate fandom experiences when it came to Ghost in the Shell and things like that. So I feel like I haven't totally missed out on certain things. But I hear you. Ghost in the Shell had an original manga. Yes, it did. That's true. That's true. But I wonder if it was based on Neuromancer ideas. That's what I'm thinking. I think it's a tough read. Hmm. It could be. It may be a tough read because of all of the terminology that he uses, and if he doesn't understand those terms to a degree, then perhaps that could be difficult. Um, the main title music for Ghost in the Shell, I'm assuming you mean, yeah, it's iconic, isn't it? It's been replicated so many times by different people in the cyberpunk genre as well, when it comes to games and TV shows and even other movies. Fist of the North Star, yes, I actually did. I used to watch that. And even the movie, I wanted to get back into it again because just of the iconic imagery, the animation. I'm really into old animated animes essentially because of the whole their style and the physical drawing that which they do. And it's almost like they just don't make them like they used to anymore. I saw Akira in the cinema in the late 80s in London. The opening scene and music blew my mind. Yeah, I mean, I saw it unfortunately or fortunately on a tiny TV screen at home, which when it aired on television. So it would have been a late showing as well. Probably something like, I don't know, 10, 12 o'clock. Um, and even then, it blew my mind. So I think I recorded it on a VHS and, really tried and then probably overwatched it and rewatched it many times. So it's really interesting. But it would have been amazing to have seen it in a cinema. That would have been definitely mind blowing for sure. The Neuromancer trailer city looked a bit too spacious and clean. Okay, interesting. Well, let's look at that now. Um, so this looks like a football pitch. A bit dirty, a bit worse for wear, perhaps even unused, but it kind of seems recently unused. You see the big buildings in the background, and then you see the digital kind of corruptions going on, which is interesting. You have some interesting weaponry. Now, the thing is, what I like about futuristic TV shows is the technology they portray and how they portray it. It's something that fascinates me, and I believe part of good storytelling is when you understand the technology very well in the thing you are adapting or that you are portraying. So I do hope that they have some interesting technology throughout this whole TV show. Now, something like this looks straight out of the Ghost in the Shell live adaptation. I mean, you have the neon signs, you have the hustle and bustle of the streets, you have the technology as well. Let me just see if it's not on the best solution. So let's just change that. That's better. So this person looks straight out of the Matrix. I mean, it does look like Morpheus, and Morpheus's glasses are very similar to those as well. That kind of chrome-plated look. And so now something like Neuromancer suffers from being released this late because of all of the things that were released prior to it, all of its predecessors in the visual sense, like The Matrix, like Ghost in the Shell. But it does remind me of those things for sure. Um, when you say clean, when someone commented about it looking too clean, this maybe looks too clean. Yes, it probably needed a filter or some kind of, I don't know, a bit more grit. But what we do have is a special appearance by Mark Strong, I believe. And here's the port access again. Um, Something very reminiscent of the Matrix and things like that. And this is Mark Strong, which is nice. It's nice to see. He was also in Dune Prophecy as the late Emperor, and sadly, he won't be in season 2. Perhaps he will have a few, I don't know, flashback scenes, but I haven't heard anything about him making an appearance in season 2. But it's nice to see him get more work, and he, and to be in this genre, so hopefully he has some very interesting things to add to this series. As you can see here, there seems to be like a digital blueprint, which is technological, so that's a good sign. And there seems to be weaponry on the table, like some guns and things like that. I'm not sure. If in this world they use physical artillery or lasers. I am not aware entirely, but it seems like they have electricity and your average knives and weaponry and things like that. So I hope the technological aspect of this series is portrayed well. So again, we get to see, more ports and more plugs and things like that. And this is very, iconic of the cyberpunk genre. And if Neuromancer is the one that started it all, then it really needs to be given its props, we see some, I think it's a space shot here, so maybe there'll be things happening also in the skies above Earth. So that's interesting as well. We get some familiar faces. And I think there is also an actor who was in one of these, like, I don't know, I don't remember what it's called. It was called something like The Chronicle or something like that. I could be completely wrong. You may know. If you know, let me know in the chat. But this actor was like someone who gained supernatural powers with a group of friends, and it was like a lost footage kind of movie. I forget the name, so if you know the name, do let me know in the chat. But he seems to be the kind of he seems to be from that movie, and it looks like he's going to be a charismatic kind of character in this show. So yeah, let's move on. And this does remind me a little bit of Blade Runner as well. So I wonder if this is going to look more Blade Runner than the Blade Runner TV show, Blade Runner 2099, because it does look. Ah, yes, someone says Chronicle. It was Chronicle, right? Yeah, I was right. Okay, thank you. That's correct. Yes, Michael B. Jordan was in it too. So I guess this man is his name Dane? Yeah. That man I showed just previously. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for that. But I wonder, does it look like Blade Runner? The series definitely looks more like it borrows from the Matrix aesthetics than Blade Runner. That's true. You could say so. Yeah. This looks like Morpheus. I mean, wearing all black, wearing the chrome shades. There seems to be a strange kind of device on her neck as well, lit in like bluish white on the sides. And I wonder what that kind of device is. Again, that's what I mean. I'm fascinated by the technology of this world, and I'd love to see how they portray that in the show. But yes, so we see some different imagery of, like, I don't know, he's pulling something out of his mouth or his eye or something weird. This looks very Ghost in the Shell because it seems like something is being, I don't know, born through liquid, and that's exactly what happens in the opening sequence of Ghost in the Shell. Um, and there we have Mark Strong again. He's looking quite cool. So yeah, um, it does look like it's going to be a fun ride. I just hope it has something interesting to say. And it's the same for the Blade Runner 2099 series. I hope it actually has um, something new to teach us in a way. That's my main concern. Um, let's go to some comments now. Yeah, the novel was a lot more dystopian than the trailer. Okay, right. So perhaps they are, I don't know, trying to make things match what we've already seen. So it's taking away from the novel in a way. Could be that. He was surely influenced by the movie Tron, which came out just a few years before the book. Of course. Was it 92? Sorry, 82 that it was released? Tron, I believe. Interesting. So, yes. So that actually puts so much into perspective now because Tron had its own visual and technological understanding. So that would be interesting to compare the two, I think. In a way, you can ask the question, what influenced Tron? And Tron was like the first movie to use like special effects in the way that it did. So by hand painting all of the lights and all those things. So that's interesting. Yeah, Tron before Neuromancer. Thanks for pointing that out. That's a good point. One of my fave novels is Mockingbird by Walter Tevis. Not so much cyberpunk though, more dystopian, like a cross between 1984 and Fahrenheit. Yeah, yeah. I actually haven't read Mockingbird, so I guess I should put that on a list as well. Um, I'm the type of person who wishes they were more of a reader, and the main thing I really read was Dune. Like that's the thing I can remember the most that I really like. You know, put my head down to read. So, um, I would like to read these other books too, for sure. Neuromancer and Johnny Mnemonic feel, when you read them, like they take place in the Blade Runner universe, very dark and gritty, with godlike corporations looming over the people. Yes, exactly. Johnny Mnemonic, fantastic film. I really enjoyed watching that growing up as well. And of course, I'm guessing it's a book too. Um, I don't know when it was published, so I need to look into that as well. But yeah, it's going to be interesting trying to trace back the origins of the cyberpunk genre and in written form, like where did it really come from? That will be interesting to do a deep dive into that. The VHS era of manga entertainment was peak. Yeah, absolutely. And I think I used to buy the DVDs as well. Um, and I used to love watching the trailers that they used to put before those films on the DVDs. And they used to also be iconic to me as well. And that got me into even more animes. If they looked like excellent trailers, I would then, look for other anime releases. But yeah, Channel 4 used to show an anime every Saturday night. Do you know what? It was probably Channel 4 then. Um, it was probably Channel 4 where I watched the first um, the Akira movie. So yeah, it could have been that channel. I'm unfamiliar with all of this stuff except for the live action Ghost in the Shell film. Yeah, I mean, I watched the live action and I watched the original anime, and I actually did a whole Ghost in the Shell watch through where I watched the TV show and the films that were released after the movie. I've seen the sequel and all of that, and it had some very interesting ideas. Now, when you look at it if you want to do a comparison of Neuromancer to um, Ghost in the Shell, it kind of seems to be the same kind of deal where he steals data, and in the and Ghost in the Shell deals with theft of data and cybercrime quite prominently. So it would be interesting to find out whether or not Ghost in the Shell was actually directly inspired by Neuromancer, because it almost seems to be the same kind of thing. There's also plugging of wiring into ports and things like that in Ghost in the Shell. So I'd be very interested. If you are in London, check out the Prince Charles Cinema near Chinatown. They play loads of awesome animes like Akira. They do, and I have actually had the pleasant experience of actually going there. I actually went to see Hero, um, which was this was years and years ago. But if you've seen the Hero film with Jet Li, uh, they were showing it there, and it was so funny because as soon as I left the theater, there were people celebrating like Chinese. I think it was the Chinese New Year, and I had absolutely no idea that I had booked this showing. The ticket for this showing was actually on Chinese New Year. So we got to leave the theater, and then there was all of these Chinese celebrations, and it felt so bizarre and so cool that everybody, it was like the culture had spilled out of the cinema into the streets. And it was this wild, beautiful memory that I'll never forget. I was with my brother at the time, and we got to see all of the celebrations. They had like Chinese dragons dancing in the streets. It was just perfect. And that was actually at Prince Charles. So yes, they do very interesting screenings of um, wonderful films, and I would love to see something like Akira there one day, hopefully. People are also saying love Prince Charles Cinema. Yeah, brilliant stuff. It really was. It's a great cinema. But I think Tron was the first concept of going into a cyberspace-like world. I can't think of an earlier one. That's the thing. I mean, now I'm thinking about it. Tron may precede them all in a way, and that is also itself very interesting because that kind of started to create a visual language which bled into pop culture. One was introducing the current technology at its time, computers. In the old days, the internet, it was new, cool times. Exactly, yes. Um, it was interesting how we used to think of things. Um, like, I don't know if in Tron there is the concept of internet. I don't actually know if it's right in there. Um, but it is definitely an intriguing concept to imagine a visual world inside a computer. Johnny Mnemonic is a short story, right? Got you. Yes. Um, Gibson wrote Neuromancer, Johnny Mnemonic, and Burning Chrome. Ah, so it's by Gibson too. Excellent. Okay, now this is making sense. Which I think was his cyberspace trilogy. Got you. Right. So are any of the same characters in the same in these things? So are the characters from Neuromancer in Johnny Mnemonic as well? And Burning Chrome? I'd be interested to find out. Your android's dream of electric sheep can be considered the first cyberpunk novel. Okay, nice. And that would make sense. Um, it would make sense. Yeah, you're right. The trilogy is Neuromancer, Count Zero, and Mona Lisa Overdrive. Okay, right. Okay. I also remember watching Akira on Channel 4. Okay, so that must have been where I actually saw the movie. Amazing, amazing time. The series may not offer anything really new since many have already borrowed heavily from Neuromancer. Exactly, yes. And I think they know this going into it because you see them kind of borrowing visual language already from like The Matrix and things like that. So I think they're aware. I think they're aware of Blade Runner. They're aware of The Matrix. They're aware of all of these things. And I think they know that they have to put their own visual stamp on it in a way. So I do hope that that does shine through. I hope it just doesn't appear as a safe carbon copy of the Matrix and things like that. Um, I saw a 6-hour edit of Lawrence of Arabia at the Prince Charles Cinema, longest movie I ever saw. Wow. Yes, I remember they were showing Lawrence of Arabia there at one point. I didn't know that there was that long of an edit of Lawrence of Arabia. So, do you think that's a projection issue? Because sometimes a slower projection can elongate a movie. So, it could be something to do with that. Gibson wrote Neuromancer on a typewriter. He coined the term cyberspace. That's a very cool fact. Cyberspace was his creation. Interesting. And Tron called it the grid. So uh he didn't so it means he actually completely made his own concept of cyberspace. That's interesting. Molly Millions is in both stories. Okay. And who is Molly Millions? Is it this woman on the screen right now, I wonder? Um I would class both Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep and Mockingbird as proto-cyberpunk and big inspirations on the genre. That's fair enough then. I love the Blade Runner movie and recently tried to read the book, but it's very old-fashioned in the way it's written. Got you. Right, right. Um, that can sometimes take you out of the reading experience. Neuromancer is one of the seminal cyberpunk works. It influenced most everything afterwards. Without Neuromancer, there would be no Ghost in the Shell or The Matrix. That's exactly what I believe. But I wonder if without Tron, would there be a Neuromancer? How long did it take him to write this, I wonder? Because Tron was released in 1982, as far as I remember, or 1981. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was 82. So how long did it take him to write Neuromancer? And I wonder if he was directly inspired by Tron, as some of you rightly pointed out. Um, okay, so what we can do now is um, we will move on just after the last few comments here. Gibson saw Blade Runner at the theatre while he was writing Neuromancer. Ah, he panicked because the film looked so much like what he was writing. Exactly, that's the thing. So Neuromancer, in a way, is a mix between Blade Runner and uh, Tron in a strange sense. That's what it seems to be. So I wonder if there were direct influences there. But seeing Blade Runner on the screen as you're writing, that's a shocker. That's a shocker. I'm sure that shocked him to the point of him almost panicking, um, uh, running out of the theater kind of thing, and perhaps even borrowing or stealing a couple of ideas. Who knows? I would say Gibson's books are not the true first cyberpunk stories, but they were the first to capture the modern mood we also see in Blade Runner: gritty, depressing, dystopian, and lethal. Yes, okay. That would make sense. That would make sense. But you do see that in Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell is also not very clean. It's cyberpunk, but a little dirty. And I'm wondering if that grit is also something that was inspired by the book. I'm sure it was Blade Runner inspired Ghost in the Shell as well. So, but perhaps release dates may offer a interesting perspective on that. Okay, so now that we have looked at the teaser trailer, we can move on to a little Dune talk. I came across a few things about Dune, and if you have anything else to add about Neuromancer, feel free to, and I will cover those as well, those messages. But as for now, there was some new concept art that was released for Dune Part 3, and I thought we could take a look at those right now. One of them is this strange kind of CH looking setting, but they look like buildings. So these buildings could probably be the headquarters of like the the Fedaykin warriors, um, or the headquarters of you know the people who survived the jihad, essentially, the warriors, that was built specifically for them. And so I think this could be those headquarters or part of those headquarters. And if you look very, very closely at the bottom left, you can see there's some like grass. And this is something big because grass on Dune is not something so uh I don't know, so light to take, something so easy to see. This means moisture, and this means abundance, and this means Liet's dream being realized. This means many things. And you also see a figure in the far background who could just be a Fremen, um, walking around these streets. And this is going to appear in the Art and Soul of Dune Part 3. If you haven't pre-ordered your books, you can pre-order it now. Um, just go to any of my descriptions and you'll see it there, and I will provide a link for you if you need one as well. If you do pre-order anything from my channel, just full disclosure, I do make a very small commission from those clicks if you do manage to make a sale. Honestly, it's very minimal, but it does help to keep the channel flowing and the spice flowing, most importantly. So any clicks on any of my links is much appreciated, and it does in the end help me out, a fellow content creator who you seem to enjoy. So I do thank you for that. Moving on to the second image that was released, we get to see some interesting paneling, almost the interior of a highliner. And the planet in the background seems to be a ruckus. Now, according to Dune Info, this is a reused image of a highliner from the book in Dune Part 2. So either this is repurposed concept art, or it's been reused for Dune Part 3, but it was from Dune Part 2. And what seems to have happened is that they added this small ship in the image. Now, if you can tell, this small, almost screw head looking ship is actually a ship we've seen in the trailer, which is this ship here, which I theorized to be a Tleilaxu ship. And this is the ship also heading towards a highliner. And this seems to be the same kind of, this seems to be what the concept art is based on, or the scene that it's based on is this concept art. So this is also going to be in the book, and there's a couple chapters which it mentions. It doesn't give the names of any of them because I guess that would be giving things away. But it definitely looks interesting that we may actually get to see the interior and close-ups of the highliners. So that would be cool to see. Just going to go to the comments section now to see if more people have anything to say. Molly Millions is a Razor Girl or Street Samurai. She has cyberpunk implants and the mirror shade implants plus retractable blades. Oh, so that is her in the image I showed. Blades under her fingernails. Right, so that's Molly Millions. Okay. So she's going to be a prominent character, I'm assuming. Neuromancer even has a place called Zion. How interesting. That's exactly what they call the free city in the Matrix. So seems to be directly taken from the Neuromancer book then. Interesting. Blade Runner, the movie, had a huge impact on the aesthetics of cyberpunk, but Neuromancer was the first to implement the cyberspace, hacking, and corporate espionage. Right. And that's very prominent in Ghost in the Shell. So there must be correlations between all of them. I'd like to add that I love your Dune videos. Thank you so much, News Rediel. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And hopefully I'll be able to create more content and also bridge out into different things. And I'd love to cover the cyberpunk genre in Neuromancer and things like that one day as well. Can I also throw the art of Mobius into the mix of inspiration for the cyberpunk aesthetic? Yes, absolutely. I mean, Mobius is incredible, and I'm sure. I mean, obviously, we had Mobius designing things in Tron, so if anything, it's Tron and Mobius that probably inspired things like Neuromancer, the book, and then obviously in the visual sense, Ghost in the Shell and anime of that kind. Um, so yes, absolutely, Mobius definitely deserves credit where it's due. I saw Lynch's Dune in the cinema in Leeds in 1984. Wow. Knowing nothing about it and loved it, even though most didn't. I didn't read the books until 2007 and loved them more. Funny enough, I think may have read the Dune books around 2007 as well. But before then, I was only into the TV show, the miniseries, and the movie, the Dune 1984 movie. So it took me the movie, then the TV show, until I finally read the books, and then that was where I cemented my love for Dune almost. Um, and I wouldn't have had it any other way because I loved my own personal journey with Dune. I loved seeing the movie, and I then loved getting reintroduced to the world through the miniseries, and then I loved reading the books way before these new movies came out. So I had time to grow my love for Dune in a way, in an organic sense, without being forced into having to watch it before or read it before I watch it and things like that. Good call out. I'd also add some 2000 AD and Judge Dredd influence. Yes, I mean those were interesting films as well, and they also do comics of those too. So yeah, it does make sense. Hearing you learn about Neuromancer and realizing it may have influenced modern sci-fi is fun to watch. Old man here and read this book when I was 13 and I see its influence everywhere. Yeah, I know. I almost feel embarrassed to, to not really know that Neuromancer is kind of one of the founding fathers, if you will, of cyberpunk. Um, Even though like I was into the cyberpunk genre from years and years ago in terms of watching Ghost in the Shell and things like that, but to really, learn that it was things like Neuromancer and maybe even Tron um, that could have influenced things is kind of funny. Um, but thanks for the comment. I appreciate it. So take two. This is take two of yesterday's stream. Yeah. You know what happened? It was there was like this 10-minute delay, so I had to wait, and you guys were experiencing so many issues, and I just felt so bad. I really do wish to apologize for yesterday's stream. Something really just wasn't going well. So yeah, I do apologize for that. Thank you, and I'm glad it seems to have improved somewhat. I'm still not fully convinced that it's a perfect stream, but I'm glad it's at least watchable, So thank you for that. And thank you for bearing with me with patience. I really appreciate it. Yes, absolutely influence. I guess you're talking about Mobius. Now tell him how Molly paid for the implants. Oh, okay. I don't know yet. I hope it's nothing too serious. I hope it's nothing too bad. I was so hopeful for an Incal movie. Mobius did the art for the Jodorowsky comics. Yeah, I mean, that was supposed to be in the works. And wasn't it supposed to be created by the guy who made the Thor: Love and Thunder movie. There was a whole announcement and everything. So where is this Inkal movie? That's a good point. Was it scrapped? Did they actually scrap this project? Because that would be really sad. Um, I love Lynch's Dune. Alicia Witt, Alia was so accurate. Absolutely fantastic. The voice is accurate. The creepiness is accurate. The depiction even is accurate. Just incredible. And they went a step further by making her look wearing this Arabized kind of costume, where she's wearing this kind of headpiece called an igal, which is like this Arabic headpiece, and it's like these they vary in size depending on region, but in Iraq, specifically in Iraq, they have these huge igals which they put on their heads, and they actually placed one of these igals almost like a crown on Alia, and wow, just perfect imagery. Perfect because it's a male. This is worn by males only. So the fact that they gave this male only headpiece to a child, because only the adults really wear them. So giving it to a child, girl child, is also showing that she has more than one voice inside her head. It's fantastic imagery without kind of giving too much away. But if you really know, then you really understand its significance and importance and how insanely cool it is. Something I really wished we'd seen in Denis Villeneuve's movies. I wanted to see his take on Child Alia, but his take on Child Alia is simply for her to not be born at all, which it's a choice, you know. Yeah, if I read Dune before seeing the beautiful Lynch movie, I would have just complained about it. But the Lynch movie is like an audiovisual compendium, exactly to the book. So I think that's exactly how perhaps my mind needed to absorb Dune, was first to see the visuals, just to get a taste of the world, then to have it expanded upon in a TV series, which I do recommend everybody to watch. The first Dune sci-fi miniseries and then the Children of Dune miniseries. Watch both of those as well, even before you read the books, because then that introduces you even more to the world. It expands on it. It gives you more of the terminology and more of the characters. And then after that was able to stew in my mind and my subconscious, then I finally committed to reading the book. And then I think by that point, I wasn't at all overwhelmed by the terminology. I was more so fascinated, because I hear newcomers to the book, some of them really struggle to read the book at the beginning because of all of these new terms being thrown at them. They just don't understand what any of this stuff means. What's a Kvisat Hadarak? What's a Gom Jabbar? And all of these things. So I think you need to kind of, if you are a newcomer and you to Dune, and you struggle with this stuff, getting into new things, and if you struggle with complex terminology, then perhaps watching these things in a visual medium first before reading the book is the best way forward. Okay, so I think we're almost at an end of the stream. Judge Dredd def had an impact and predates both Blade Runner and Neuromancer. Okay, so now let's go even further back. Let's look at Judge Dredd and see their influence on the world. Yes, you can't beat the weirding modules. Well, I gave my argument for weirding modules in my movie breakdown, for June 1984, in my anniversary special. And I see where he was coming from with these weirding modules. I think I found the text where where David Lynch was inspired by this quote, and that's where the weirding modules came. But in the new movies, there's no explanation as to how the Fremen beat the Atreides, the Harkonnen, and the Sardaukar warriors. There's no explanation as to them how they got the upper hand. They simply just defeated them, which I think should definitely be looked at more closely and even criticized, because how did the Fremen beat them? You know, like they were supposed to be taught the Weirding way, and we never even got to see that, which is so disappointing. I didn't picture Armitage like that. Mark Strong is a little too thin, but the trailer looks good. Ah, I see. So that's the character in the TV show. Okay. Um, I hope he will give a. I mean, he's a fantastic actor. We all know that. So I hope he gives a compelling performance. I think the miniseries did a fantastic job of adapting Dune Messiah. Yes, I agree. And the thing is, they also um they dedicated 1 hour, basically one episode, to Dune Messiah, and I think they did a great job of including all of the threads. They included the plot. They included all of the characters. We even get to see Bajaz, which we may probably not get to see in this movie. I've still heard nothing about it yet. If I ever do find anything out, I will of course let you guys know. But yes, it did. I really do think it did a great job of just you know adapting Messiah and all of the main points in the book. And don't forget the fantastic score and the fantastic end to that episode by the great Azam Ali, who also known to be the singer in the Niaz group, and she did a fantastic vocal piece with the composer of the score. And yeah, I mean, just a great episode, a great addition to the Dune universe, really. And I really wanted her to return for Dune Prophecy, or some kind of be featured in some way in the movies. Sadly, though, they didn't include her, but they did include Lisa Gerard, which was a dream of mine. So I have to give them props for that. However, she was underused. She really was underused. She's more prominently in the expanded Hans Zimmer soundtrack than she is in the movie itself. She appears in the trailer music, and that's really about it. Lisa Gerard really should have had more vocals in the soundtrack, in my opinion. Really looking forward to this one and Blade Runner 2099. Yes, absolutely. I mean, so am I. I will be watching them both. I will be analyzing them, looking into the visual world and the characters and the writing. And I do hope they give something compelling. I believe both of these are going to be released in 2027, if I believe correctly. So hopefully we'll get to cover quite a few things next year, and I'm actually excited about that, because of course after Dune Part 3 is released in December, that'll be technically the last Dune movie, unless we get more later on. But then there probably will be a Dune Prophecy series to cover as well. So 2007 is looking like an interesting year for Dune and for Cyberpunk. So one more. Too bad Brian Herbert Amanda the Law of the Dune Encyclopedia may be a rights and control thing. Or it could be, but they haven't ever republished this. So I think perhaps it's more of a law thing. I think it's them wanting to go in their own direction. There are some interesting tidbits in Dune Encyclopedia, although it's not all entirely accurate. or even scientific. But yeah, it is definitely an interesting read. Um, okay, so I think we will soon end the stream. If you want to get any of your questions in, feel free to do so. I just pray to Warner Brothers to release Dune Trilogy in a 16:9 home format through physical media. Yes, absolutely. I do as well. There's still been no word on whether that will happen or not. But even judging by the trailer themselves, the trailer wasn't released in an IMAX format online. So it doesn't really bode well for the format on physical media. It's like they're still trying to covet the IMAX frames and keep them to themselves. And I do hope that instead of keeping them for limited re-releases later on, that they actually do release it on home physical media as well, or video on demand. I really do hope so. In Dune Part 1, Paul's vision shows the Fremen leaping fully over the heads of the enemies when it shows Paul in the golden armor. Exactly. And that was what I thought was a depiction of the whole, weirding way. But apparently, I mean, we didn't get to see him teach them that kind of technique, or they're supposed to also have this very fast reflex. We didn't really get to see a fast reflex action happening at all. So, I really do wish we had gotten to see that. Perhaps there's one final way we can in Dune Part 3 if Alia gets to do her fight sequence. We'll see. Blade Runner 2099 is this year. Neuromancer is next year. That's what I thought. So we may get to. So I may have to cover it earlier then. Yes, that's true. You're right. Actually, I got my dates mixed up. So at least there will be kind of like something to see off this year with in terms of Cyberpunk, and then going into the next year. That would be cool. Okay, so if that's all, I think we will end it there. Thank you all for your comments and for tuning in today. I really do appreciate it. And apologies again for yesterday's stream. It wasn't the best. I hope to be able to continue to provide decent quality, at least on this channel. And I would like to try and stream more. If you have any ideas of things you'd like me to cover, just leave them in the comments below, and I would love to consider them for future explorations on this channel, like Neuromancer, hopefully, and other things like that. As I was saying, I want to stream more as well, so I will do my best to be able to do that more regularly for you as well. So thanks for tuning in, and I will see you on the next one.